I don't know why it is asking me the passcode, but it's not saying that you are waiting. Usually it says you are in the waiting room, you will be allowed, and that's
Yeah. Okay.
Are you seeing me?
I don't see anyone in the waiting room. I allowed everyone.
Oh.
Just now, many were allowed here.
Okay, it says live. Should we start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. I see it's live. Yeah. Sorry, Prabhu.
Should we start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing my screen. No worries. So last time we had, yeah, I'm starting. Yeah. So last time we had completed a brief description on the incarnations of Krishna and the energies of Krishna. Oh, this. So I think the YouTube is free. Voice.
Prabhu, what you need to do is you need to off the speaker, mute the speaker there in that screen. Mute. Go to that screen. The window you'll be having that speaker button. Just mute that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Done. So I was wondering who's speaking, and person is speaking just like me. Oh.
Maybe someone from Goloka.
Wishful thinking. Okay. So we had covered incarnations of Krishna, and we had covered briefly Krishna's energies. This time, today going forward, we will be doing a description of the spiritual world, and I think I've shared the wrong screen. So let me quickly fix that. My apologies. So this is so this I did just in order to establish context, and we are obviously more focused in the creation of the material world, but the material world does not exist in itself. It exists, really speaking, as an extension of the spiritual world in a particular mood. So I thought that let's begin from the top. We can start from the spiritual world, discuss briefly about what is there, and then talk more about the more details about the material world. So in Moksha Dharma, Skandapura, Narayana, Krishna says that he lives in different places. He appears in different places. He appears on the earth planet, in the spiritual world of Vaikuntha, and in the eternal abode of Golok, Vrindavan. But Golok is special. This he says in Brahma Vaivat Puran, that he resides there in his two-armed form as Krishna, along with Radha and her gopis. And in Vaikuntha, he resides with Kamala and her attendants. So the description of the spiritual world is predominantly from Brahma Samhita, with further input from the Bhagavatamrita and of course Chaitanya Charitamrita, but Brahma Samhita is the main source. So it's defined as Saharsapatra Kamalam, as a lotus flower with Saharspatra, 1,000 petals, and Gokulayam Mahatpadam. This great, this super excellent. So this is translation by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. So he tends to use a little bit. His diction is a little bit more complicated. And so the super excellent station of Krishna. This is the Golokaya Mahatpadam. 1,000 petals and a corolla. So this is the center of the lotus. Of that lotus sprouted from a part of his infinitary aspect. So this is Tad Anantamsa Sambhavam. Now Tad Anantamsa Sambhavam also translates to he whose Amsha is Anant, which refers to Lord Balram. So the verse is also pointing to the fact that the spiritual world, which is like a lotus flower, is sprouting from Lord Balram. And we looked at this, we discussed this when we looked at the energies of Krishna. So let's start at the 1,000-petaled rose, 1,000-petaled lotus. So this is divided into 3 parts. The center part is Gokul. So I'm going to use my cursor in the highlight mode. I hope it works. So this whole part over here, this entire lotus flower is Gokula, and you can see that by the color over here. This rim outside over here is Mathura, and then outside still over here is Dwarka. And this area between them, we will see what that is. So this is the structure of Krishna Loka. That Gokul is existing in the middle as a 1,000-petal rose. Now, just bear in mind that the Saharspatrani, the Acharyas say that Sahasra means thousands. It doesn't really mean 1,000. Actually, it is infinite. That the number of roses the number of petals are infinite. And it makes sense. That how can the spiritual world be limited by a number? But the Sahasrani is yet to indicate that there are innumerable petals. So here it is said that in the highest region of the spiritual sky is a planet called Krishna Loka. It has 3 divisions, Dwarka, Mathura, and Gokul. Shri Gokul, the highest of all, is also called Vraja, Golok, SVETADVÍPA, and Vrindavan. So this is Krishnadas Kaviraj clarifying that there are different nomenclature, different names that are applied to Gokul. Now, we know that sometimes this whole Krishna Lok is also called Gokul. Now, this area is also called Gokul, Braj, Golok, SVETADVÍPA, Vrindavan. This area, including the surrounding quadrangle, is also called SVETADVÍPA. So the point that's being made is that the names can sometimes be intermingling. They can sometimes be confusing. Most of the time, contextually, we can understand. Now, second point also to understand here is that this is what is known as conceptual reality. So it's not that there is a lotus flower in the spiritual world. It's just like Shishumar, right? Sometimes when we describe the planetary system in the material world, we say that there is this constellation of the planets called the dolphin. Right? These are those Shishumara, those planets that are in the shape of a dolphin. Doesn't mean that there is a dolphin over there. All that it means is that its shape resembles like a dolphin. So we need to just have that in mind, that we are trying to describe something that is beyond our conception, but we are using things that we can see and understand, and things that closely match one way or the other. So moving further on, this is the famous word Chintamani Prakar Sadmashu Kalpavriksha. So who is living there in Golok? So I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending cows, yielding all desires. So these are the Kamadhenu cows. In abodes built with spiritual gems, surrounded by millions of purpose trees. So these are the Kalpavriksha trees, always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds and thousands of Lakshmis or Gopis. So this is one thing that Bhaktisiddhanta wanted us to understand, that in Golok, Krishna is served by millions of Lakshmi Devis. Now there are many Lakshmi Devis in Vaikuntha also, but those Lakshmi Devis are descending from are expansions of those in the spiritual world. So here in the material world, we'll see that one Lord Vishnu is served by Lakshmi Devi. But in the spiritual world, Krishna is served by millions of Lakshmis. Now, it does not mean that Lakshmi Devi are there in Golok, but those who become Lakshmis, because Lakshmi Devi is more in Swakya and Aishwarya Bhav, so they don't go to the Golok, but those who become, so these are the gopis who become Lakshmis, they are serving Krishna. So now let's move a little bit out from the lotus flower. So surrounding the lotus flower is the ocean of milk. Or putting it other ways around, in the ocean of milk, there is a Golok, which is a 1,000-petaled lotus. And Radha and Krishna, they reside in the central world. So over here, this is the abode of Radha and Krishna, Swayam Bhagwan. Then unlimited petals where the gopis reside. So these are the petals in which the gopis reside. And as I mentioned, the word Sahasrani means that it is that these worlds have unlimited petals. They are infinite. And Radha and Krishna, they are at the center, and they are expanding also into the outside petals. So the dham is made of Chintamani. And the characteristic of Chintamani is that it changes by the desires of Krishna and his devotees. So it's often said that the spiritual world is dynamic, that it changes based on the desires. It changes in order to assist pastimes. So how does it change? Because it is sensient. That when the spiritual world senses that Krishna wants to do this, it expands. When it senses that all the gopis need to come together to Krishna, then it contracts at the time, and the distances that were large become small. Similarly, they change color, they change form. So it's an environment that is constantly morphing to assist the pastimes of Krishna and his devotees. Now, going outside, we have this ocean of milk. So where is this milk coming from? So it is said that the Surabhi cows, so Krishna is in his eternal form as a cowherd boy. And as a cowherd boy, what does he do? He tends cows. The cows over there are Surabhi cows. And because they're overflowing with love for Krishna, they produce so much milk that it overflows and it becomes an ocean surrounding the Goloka. So that becomes our Ksheerasagar. So this is known as Ksheerasagar. And because that which exists within an ocean is called a dweep. So dweep is island. Golok is also known as SVETADVīPA. So point to note here is that there is another SVETADVīPA that is in the material world. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on, which is with the abode of Shodaksha Vishnu. So this is different from there. Bhakti Siddhanta says that there is only one Lakshmi Devi there. There are unlimited Lakshmi Devis. Krishna has a flute and a peacock feather here, but Krishna has 4 arms with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma there. So they are, even though they are same name, but they are different. The ocean over here is produced by the milk from the Surabhi cows. The Ksheer Sagar over there is produced by the potency of Shodaksha Vishnu. And all this is being maintained by Lord Balaram, Ananta Amsha. Now, what about the BHAUMYA Gokul? What about the Gokul that is there on the earth? So we already saw that the Gokul is called Vraj, Golok, SVETADVīPA and Vrindavan. Now, as per Jiva Goswami, the Golok in the spiritual world is not different from the Gokul in the material world. Now, the interesting point that he makes is, even though they are non-different, there are subtle differences. Now, because of the subtle differences, the point that he makes is that the BHAUMYA Gokul is actually higher than the Golok in the spiritual world. And then he elaborates on that. Some of the things that he says that the rasas are more fully manifest in the BHAUMYA Gokul. There, Krishna's childhood pastimes are being Krishna's birth pastimes are being celebrated. Krishna Janmashtami. There are actual demons. Here there is only the sense of demons. There, in the BHAUMYA Gokul, the Parakriya Bhav is strong. In the spiritual Golok, there is a sense, the gopis are not married, but they have a sense that there is somebody waiting for them, or they have a husband, they have a family, even though they don't exist. The demons never come to Golok, but there is a sense that there is a demon, I have to take shelter. So actually the point that he makes is that those who perfect their bhakti through the process of sadhana, they go to Golok. And those who perfect the bhakti through raga, they go to BHAUMYA Gokul. So he makes that distinction over there. And there is also a material planet called Golok, which is presided by Surabhi, the wife of Prajapati Kashyap, is the planet of heavenly cows, and that is different. That's a completely material planet. Just to, again, set the nomenclature correct. Now, Lord Brahma in the Brahma Samhita, he further describes Golok through a yantra. And he says that the whole of the transcendental lotus is the realm wherein dwells Krishna. So we've already seen that. It is a hexagonal figure. So now he's describing the yantra. The abode of the indwelling predominated and predominating aspect. So we'll see what he's talking about. Like a diamond at the central supporting figure of self-luminous Krishna stands as the transcendental source of all potencies. The holy name, consisting of 18 yantra is a representation of a mantra. So let's see a little bit more about the yantra. So what we see over here, so this is the yantra that he's describing. Is essentially, he said two inverted triangles. There is one triangle over here, and there is another triangle over here. So this is the yantra. Now, a yantra is a mystical way to depict a mantra, and the mantra is the mystical way to which carries the deity. Yantra is not different from mantra. Mantra is not different from the deity. So the yantra is transitively not different from the deity. So he has described it as a hexagonal figure made by the intersection of two triangles. So what is the hexagonal figure? This is the hexagonal figure. So we see inside over here by the intersection of the two triangles. This is the hexagonal. Hexagonal means 6 sides, or literally it means 6 angles, but 6 sides. So this is the yantra that is describing.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
That
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
in the
we are losing you
trying to
intermittently.
clear out these pop-ups that keep coming. So in the spiritual world, Krishna has 2 positions. So we have this. So we have this triangle over here with the apex at the top. This is Krishna as the predominant. So he's the top person over here at the apex. Everybody else is worshipping him. Now we have another triangle over here, which is this triangle. This is Krishna as predominated, which is Krishna serving everybody. So even though it said Krishna is being served by millions of gopis and Krishna is constantly being glorified, but in the spiritual world, as much as Krishna is being served, he serves. So that's what the yantra is representing. Both the position of Krishna as the predominator with a triangle with apex at the top, and conversely Krishna as the predominator. That ultimately, how is Krishna? How is everybody in the spiritual world able to enjoy? Who's making this arrangement for all the kalpavrikshas, the chintamani's, the surabhi cows? Krishna. So he's making all the arrangements through Balram, but ultimately Krishna, he's serving everybody. Prem Kishore Prabhu, I see this pop-ups of somebody waiting and entering the waiting room. I think you need to click on the admit.
No one is there, Prabhu. I'm doing it already.
Okay, so on my screen it keeps coming and going away for some reason. Okay, so moving on to the next screen. So there's 6 sides. So we said, or rather, Lord Brahma said that the 6 sides of the hexagon represent the
We lost Prabhuji, right?
Yeah, we
I think
lost
we
him.
lost Prabhu.
Yeah, let me. Looks like he has to call from his phone. Wi-Fi has problem.
But how will he do presentation from his phone?
No, phone he can talk.
Yes.
Looks like I've been disconnected.
Yeah.
Backing up or something. Convert meeting recording.
No. You. Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu is joining. Okay? Yeah, one request before you start, Prabhuji.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
humble request, this sessions, probably it will be another 2 sessions. So in order not to disturb in between, if you can please everyone join prior to 8 o'clock, that will help, because even now again one more Ishwari Radha Mataji is joining. If it is in between, it is a disturbance for them and also for the host. For the next call, next session.
Okay, can you see the screen, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu, you can speak now. Yeah, you
Okay.
can see that.
Okay, so sorry about that. Some technical difficulty. My screen froze, so I had to log off and log back again. So we were speaking about the yantra, and so this is the 6-figured hexagon. And what's the mantra that is represented? So this is the mantra that is represented over here, beginning from the side over here. Krishnaya Govindaya Gopichan Vallabhaya Swaha. Center is Kleem, and Kleem is essentially Om. It is in the spiritual world, Om is invoked as Kleem, and it comes to the material world, it becomes Kleem becomes Om. So this is the mantra that is used by well, even by us, even though we are not, or at least I'm not advanced devotees, but like Lord Brahma, he used this mantra to connect to Krishna at the beginning of creation. So this is the mantra that connects one to Krishna. Now, we'll speak a little bit more about Mahaprabhu. You can see Mahaprabhu on the left-hand side over here, and we'll speak a little bit more about him later. One thing to note also is that as per the description, Radha and Krishna, they are actually sitting under the Kalpavriksha tree. But unfortunately, there are no pictures, at least by ISKCON artists, which have Radha and Krishna sitting. So they have the picture made with Radha and Krishna standing, but just we can assume that they're sitting. So the Goloka is represented by the yantra, the 6-figured, made by the intersection of the 2 triangles, and the yantra represents the Kam Gayatri mantra. And the point here is Gayatam Trayate Yasmat Gayate Tvam Tataha Smrita. Why is it the Gayatri mantra? Because it is meant for those who are seeking to transcend the material existence. Lord Brahma, in his own abode, is meditating on Krishna and worships him with the mantra consisting of 18 syllables. So this Klim Krishnaya Govindaya has 18 syllables in it. And Lord Brahma, even to this day, is chanting that mantra. And at the time of the creation, Lord Brahma actually, he receives 2 initiations. First initiations is the Klim Krishnaya Govindaya mantra. They're both in the category of Kam Gayatri. The first is called Gopal Gayatri. And second is the Klim Kamdevaya Vidmaya Pushpanaya Dhimai. So that is the second mantra that he chants. And it is only after the chanting of the second mantra that he speaks the prayers, beginning from Chintamani Prakarsatmashu. So these are the 2 mantras that connect Lord Brahma and in a general way the devotees to the spiritual conception. So the mantra depicts Radha and Krishna. In the middle, the Surabhi cows, the Kalpavriksha, Vrindavan with Krishna in the center of it. And again, this is the Krishna as the predominator and Krishna as the predominated over here. So this is the mantra with the 6 sides and 18 syllables. And in the Gopal Tapane Upanishad, it is mentioned that the Bijkar Klim becomes Om when it comes from the spiritual to the material world. So they are essentially non-different. Also, one thing to understand is even though we have shown pictures in the yantra over here, actually the yantras don't have any pictures. They're simply made by the geometrical design. And sometimes they will carry the mantra, sometimes not. But they don't carry pictures on them because they essentially they are the representation of the deities. Now, expanding from the lotus. So we looked at the lotus. We recognize that it is surrounded by the ocean of milk. Now, what else is going on? So in 5.4 Brahma Samhita, Brahma says that the whole of the eternal realm Gokul is the hexagonal abode of Krishna. This we have seen. Its petals are the abodes of gopis who are part and parcel of Krishna, to whom they are most lovingly devoted and are similar in essence. The petals shine beautifully like so many walls. The extended leaves of that lotus are the garden-like dham. That is spiritual abode of Sri Radhika, the most beloved of Krishna. So essentially, at the center is Radha Krishna. In the petals immediately around the center live the gopis. And this Patrani Shriyam are the many gardens which Srimati Radharani visits along with Krishna. And where the petals join the center of the flower, these are the pathways by which the divine couple, they travel. So Jiva Goswami describes this in Krishna Sandarbha, that in this way the different parts of the lotus flower of Gokul Vrindavan are described. Now, the lotus flower is also divided by rasas. Right at the center, we have Madhurya Rasa. So here there is Radha Krishna. After that, the 3 whorl of petals are belonging to Madhurya Rasa. So here essentially, those who are connected with the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna reside. Now, it does not mean that it's just Radha and Krishna and those in that pastimes. So even Yashoda Mai and Nand Baba, they live over here. Their rasta is Vatsalya. But they are primarily nurturing the Madhurya Rasa. Yashoda Mai calls Radha Rani to cook. Nand Baba is friends with the father of with Vrishbhanu. He makes arrangements for them to meet. So even though that mood is Vatsalya, but they are nourishing the Madhurya. Now, outside of the central whorl, 3 whorls are Madhurya. And this is where, so here the Ashtagopis reside. Outside that, the Manjaris and the other gopis reside, but only 3 wholes are Madhurya. Now, outside that, we see the rasas diminishing, diminishing in terms of the intimacy. So we have Vatsalya over here, we have Sakhya, Dasya, and Shanta. Now, here again, there is 1 whole given, but and that is for practical reasons. But these could be hundreds or thousands of wholes that are given over here. So this is the Madhurya Rasa. So we see Radha and Krishna at the center. These are what was spoken of as the divine pathways that connect Radha and Krishna when they want to visit the gardens of the gopis. These are the Ashtagopis over here. We see the Manjaris over here, Vilas Manjari, Jiva Goswami, Rati Manjari, Rupa Manjari at the top, kind of cut off, that's Rupa Goswami. So different Manjaris over here. And further out, we see the other rasas. But at the center, the 3 wholes are the Madhurya rasa. So we have the gopis and we have the Manjaris. And then we have the other rasa. So we have Madhurya at the middle, then we have Vatsalya, which is the 4th whole, at least in the diagram, it's the 4th whole. Then we have Sakhya rasa, the outer, and then we have Dasya rasa and Shanta rasa. And when you get they've done a very good job. They've depicted various pastimes where you can see. So in the Vatsalya rasa, you can see over here Krishna being bathed by Yashoda Mai. In the Sakhya rasa, you can see Krishna playing with his cowherd friends. Dasya rasa, coming over here, see Krishna being served by some of the gopas. So in this way, all the rasas are manifested in this primarily lotus flower of Gokul. Now moving out of the lotus flower. So the surrounding external plane of Gokul is being described now in 5.5. There is a mysterious quadrangular place named SVETADVÍPA. Now here again, so I cautioned you ahead that at one point we had said that Gokul is SVETADVÍPA. Now the quadrangular place that surrounds Gokul is being called SVETADVÍPA. So more important is what the description is. That surrounds the outskirts of Gokul. SVETADVÍPA is divided in 4 parts on all sides. It's the abode of Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha, separately located in each of the 4 parts. These 4 divided abodes are enveloped by the 4-fold human requirements such as piety, wealth, passion, and liberation, as also by the 4 Vedas, Rig, Sam, Yajur, and Athar, which deals with the mantra and which are the basis of the achievements of the 4-fold mundane requirements. This is Dharma, Arth, Kam, and Moksha. Now, important to understand that these are all present in a spiritual form. Now, obviously, there is no Kam, at least from a mundane perspective. So even though it says 4-fold mundane requirements, because it is pointing to what we understand as the Chatur Purusharth, the 4 mundane requirements. But in Golok, they're present in the original spiritual form. Prabhupada would say everything in the material world is coming from the spiritual world. So Dharma, Arth, Kam, Moksha is there in the spiritual world. It is there in Golok. But there it is used to nourish the bhakti. 10 tridents are fixed in the 10 directions, including the zenith and nadir. The 8 directions are decorated with 8 jewels of Mahapadma, Padma, Shankha, Makra, Kachab, Mukunda, and Neel. There are 10 protectors, Dilpalas, Dikpalas of the 10 directions in the form of mantra. The associates of the hue of blue, yellow, red, and white, and the extraordinary potencies bearing the name of Vimala, etc., shine on all sides. So this verse is describing emanating outside from the lotus flower, and we'll see a depiction to understand it better. But and the Chatur view that's being described over here is the Adi Chatur view. So when we discussed about in the incarnation, we had seen that first Krishna expands to Balram, who expands to the first Chaturveda. That is being described over here. So now we are looking at the quadrangular place that is surrounding. So just for reference, so we have this entire lotus flower is Gokul. This is the Shir Sagar, the ocean of milk. And now this is what Lord Brahma is saying, the mysterious quadrangular place. Quadrangular means 4 angles. So this is the mysterious quadrangular place. Right at the inside is Mathura. Following that is Jagannath Puri. And following that is Dwarka. Now, Jagannath Puri is not mentioned in that verse. It's explained later by the Acharyas. And that is how this is interpolated here. So these are the 4 Chaturvya incarnations. This is Vasudev, Sankarshan. So east side is Vasudev, and then clockwise from there, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Now, also in the center is Navadvip. And we'll see how does Navadvip coexist with Golok. In addition to that, what was described? So these are the Chaturvya, the Adi Chaturvya, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha. Then it is divided into 4 parts along the diagonals. So if you see these diagonals over here, these are the 4 parts. So this is the realm of Vasudev. This is Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. Now the Chaturvya are 4-armed forms, and they reside essentially in this area over here. So this is the area in which they reside. Vyuha means army. So they are over here to protect the center. At the center is Golok. Now one may say that who do you protect against? You are in the spiritual world. Everybody is a devotee. But the general understanding is that it's the service that they do. Just like there are tridents and there are different things, it's a service that they perform for Lord Krishna. The rasas over here are mixed with Aishwarya, because the form is now 4-armed. There is more opulence over here, and the fraction of Aishwarya is still low, but it is present over here. It says that now there is also Dharma, Kam, and Moksha on the 4 sides, and there is the 4 Vedas, the Rig, Yajur, Sam, and Atharva Veda. So that is how this quadrangular place is being described. So this is a slightly zoomed out view where you can see. So these are the Adi Chaturvya. These are the diagonals. What you see over here are the tridents. So there are 10 tridents, but 2-dimensionally they are shown. These are the different jewels that are over there. So they are all surrounding and protecting the Golok. And they serve a purpose also. We'll see why the jewels are over there. So the 10 tridents represent the 3 modes in 3 times. Now again, there are no modes of material nature, and there is no time in the spiritual world, but they represent the modes that help nourish bhakti, and they represent times that nourish pastimes. They surround Golok and Vaikuntha. Now they serve another purpose also, that these tridents, they prevent the impersonalists in the Brahma Jyoti from entering Golok. And they also prevent those who are under the influence of time from crossing the Viraj River. They represent the Ashtasiddhis. So if there are yogis who are able to travel, they get distracted by the siddhis. So they are meant as something to distract the mystic yogis. The jewels around Golok are not around Vaikuntha. So the jewels are actually meant to prevent the Vaikuntha Vasis from going into Golok. Because The only difference between Vaikuntha Vasis and Golok Vasis is that Vaikuntha Vasis are attracted by opulence. So when they see the jewels, they get attracted by the jewels and they return to Vaikuntha because of the opulence. They are the 10 Dikpalas who protect the Golok by the mantras. And essentially, they're protecting from anyone who has any desires. And the colors are the forms of the mantra. So this is the effulgence that is surrounding it for the various associates of Krishna. Now, we had talked about the quadrangular. So innermost is Mathura. And Mathura is basically Vasudev Krishna. Then after that is Dwarka and Puri Dham. So in Mathura, Dwarka and Puri Dham, Krishna expands into the four-armed form that is also called the Narayan form. And Radha and her gopis, they expand into the consorts of Narayan, which is Lakshmi. So this is explained in Purushabodhini Upanishad of Atharva Veda, that the 8 principal gopis expand into the 8 principal queens of Dwarka. Now Puri Dham is a special place because Puri Dham is Dwarka Krishna in the mood of Vrindavan Krishna. So we know that pastime at Kurukshetra, when Krishna came from Dwarka for the performance of the yajna at the time of the eclipse, and then he sees the gopis over there, and then he goes into a deep mood of separation. So that is Lord Jagannath. Dwarka Krishna in the mood of Vipralamba, in the mood of deep separation. Sorry, not Vipralamba. In the mood of separation. And that's why we see Lord Jagannath with the big eyes and the hands retracted, the limbs retracted. So these are symptoms which we don't see in the material world, but in the spiritual world that demonstrates one under the power of strong emotion. So that's why it is Mathura, Jagannath Puri and Dwarka. Because Jagannath Puri is Dwarka in the mood of Vrindavan. So it is a higher rasa over there. And that's why Mahaprabhu stayed in Puri, because he was essentially Krishna in the mood of separation. Krishna in the mood of Srimati Radharani, but demonstrating that mood of separation, the Vipralamba Bhava. So that's why the mood of Jagannath so much resonated with the mood of Mahaprabhu and the Prakrit Leela, which is why he made his abode over there. Now we had also said that there is now the Vamp in the center. And this is explained again by Jiva Goswami, that in Golok there is both Madhurya and Audharya Bhava. Madhurya is the loving pastime, Audharya is the pastime of munificence. So he makes the point that Audharya exists within Madhurya in fullness, and Madhurya exists within Audharya in fullness. They are actually non-different from one another, but that place where Madhurya is chief is known by fortunate persons as Vrindavan, and that place where Audharya is eternally predominant is called Navadvip. Same place, two different moods. It's like same house. The husband and wife in the bedroom have a different mood. When they come down to the living room, they have a different mood. Same people, same environment, but difference because of circumstantially different. So Krishna, same Krishna, but at a point he is Madhurya, full of love. At point he is Audharya, full of munificence. So there is no difference between Vrindavan and Navadvip. Only the different manifestations of the rasas make them distinct. Now one might say that based on the rasas, and the whole spiritual world has been described, the lotus flower has been shown to have many whorls. So why here they are still at the center? And that is because of the first reason, that actually Madhurya and Audurya are the same. That love cannot be without compassion and compassion cannot be without love. In other cases, the rasas are different. They're going from Madhurya to Vatsalya to Sakhya. So the rasas are changing. But here there is no change in rasas. There is just a difference in the way that they are manifesting. So moving down from Golok, we have Ayodhya Dham. And Ayodhya Dham is where Lord Ram resides with Mother Sita and his associates. So in Ayodhya Dham, we have the mood much more prominently of Aishwarya than even in Dwarka, but not as much as in Vaikuntha. So Lord Ram resides over here in the two-armed form, and we can see in this picture that he is lovingly caressing Hanuman. He has his hand over Sita Devi. Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan, they are laughing. So you have humor, you have conjugal, dasya. So even though Lord Ram is the king, and that mood is strong over there, everybody is serving Lord Ram, but the other rasas are also there, which is why Ayodhya is higher than Vaikuntha Dham. And some mention about the position of Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrughan. So somewhere it is said that they are Chaturviha. Vasudeva is Ram, and Bharat, Lakshman, and Shatrughan are Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh. At some point it is said, in some scriptures it is said that Ram is Narayan, and Lakshman is Anantashesh, Bharat is Shankar, and Shatrughan is Chakra. But the point to note is that the mood is Aishwarya with a strong mixture of the high rasas. So this dham of Ayodhya is below Golok but above Vaikuntha. So next is Vaikuntha Dham. Before this, I'll pause and see if we have any discussion, any comments on what we have discussed so far.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Regarding Vasudev Krishna in where is it now? Mathura. He is son of Devaki and Vasudev, right, Prabhu? So it's they are Devaki and Vasudev are also eternally the parents of Krishna, or okay?
They are.
Nice.
They are eternally the parents of Krishna. You're right. Srila Prabhupada explains that Vasudev Krishna, he gives the position of his parents to Devaki and Vasudev. And when he is single, he's called Vasudev Krishna. When he's married, he's called Dwarkadish. So Mathura is considered higher because, again, the moods are more intimate there. Krishna is more informal over there. So when Krishna in the Leela, when Krishna was in Mathura, he was single. Now, again, he was the prince, so there was some Aishwarya over there, but he was single. So just like when men are single, they're more like boys. They have fun, they joke and tease, and he was having pastimes with Kubja. So Krishna is more, he's more approachable as Vasudev Krishna. When he becomes Dwarkadish Krishna, then there is Rukmani Devi, there is the queens, and the mood becomes more formal over there. So Prabhupada explained that's the only difference between the two personalities, because we know that Krishna from Gokula, he travels to Mathura, and then Krishna from Mathura travels to Dwarka. But as they go, the moods change a little bit, so the personalities that are manifested change also.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for again this beautiful, beautiful presentation. Prabhu, I was just thinking, like in the beginning, when you were mentioning that how that how the lotus comes into being. So what I was just thinking that because there is no, like it always existed, then how is it that it is said that it comes like that? So means it always existed. So then how do we say that it sprouted from Balram, the spiritual world? I mean, we hear that the material creation, yes, it manifests and it unmanifests, and that cycle goes on. But for spiritual world, how do we understand that, Prabhu?
So the question was asked last time also. It's there to indicate causality, that Lord Balram is the cause of the spiritual world. Now, Lord Balram is eternal, the spiritual world is eternal, but in order to indicate that causality, like the point I made was the jivas are eternal, but it still said that the jivas come from Krishna. Mamevam jiva loke, right? Krishna says that these jivas are coming from me. One can say the same point. How can you say that jivas are coming from you if the jivas have been eternally existing? So this point is made to indicate causality, that the jivas are only existing because of Krishna. So the spiritual world is existing because it is supported by Lord Balram.
Yeah, Prabhu, and the next question that comes is that that like the SVETADVÍPA, the one in the spiritual world, the SVETADVÍPA, at one place it says that Vrindavan, Goloka, and SVETADVÍPA, they are the same thing. And then in the other place, and I remember hearing it in the Brahma Samhita seminar by Guru Maharaj also, that SVETADVÍPA is a portion within the Goloka actually. So you also mentioned that. So how to reconcile the two?
There's no good way to reconcile, just understanding contextually. So yes, the SVETADVÍPA, even in the spiritual world, the SVETADVÍPA is sometimes used to refer to Golok in the middle, where Radha Krishna reside. Sometimes SVETADVÍPA also includes the ocean of milk, Mathura, Dwarka, Jagannath, Puri. The whole thing is called SVETADVÍPA. And then there's a SVETADVÍPA that is there in the material world, where Shuddhaksha Vishnu is.
Yes, Prabhu.
Right.
And also we hear, right, that like, I don't know if my memory is correct, but correct me if I'm wrong, Prabhu, that the parallel Leela of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna are going on in the spiritual world. If I don't know, I mean, I kind of am recalling hearing it.
That I also have heard. It's a little esoteric, frankly speaking, difficult to kind of unwrap. So we just accept it. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Mahaprabhu
And Ayodhya Dham is like when you represented in the picture form, the lotus, and outside the lotus we saw the rectangles of Mathura, Dwarka, and in between Jagannath Puri. Then outside that is Ayodhya Dham, Prabhu?
Yes. So below that is Ayodhya.
Below. Yeah, because then after that will be Vaikuntha Dhams.
After that is Vaikuntha Dham, which is what we'll talk about next.
Yeah, and Prabhu, one more question about the rasas, like the first three, from the, what do you call, the middle part, the corolla of the lotus outside, that three are the madhurya, and then the vatsalya, and then the so, and we also hear that like when we go from shanta to dasya to Sakhya to Vatsalya to Madhurya, then in the next one, the first rasa is already there. So meaning in the middle, then in the Madhurya, there all the rasas are present then.
Yes, that's my understanding too.
Yeah, I was just checking, Prabhu. This topic is very, very like not so easy to understand.
It is a
But
little.
it's so beautiful, Prabhu, like the way the lotus is and all that you represented, and how the mantra, the Kama Gayatri mantra is the six, what do we call, is the hexagon. In the hexagon, it
The
is.
hexagon. Yeah.
It leads us to Radha Krishna.
Yeah. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he writes wonderfully in the purports. He explains
Mhm.
this there.
Thank you so
Okay.
much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Mhm.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. When you say that some people from Vaikuntha, they want to go to Golok, and we know also, like even Lakshmi, she wants some time to go and serve Krishna in Golok or in the pastime. And can you comment more on that? And you said that there are protection, like some jewel in Vaikuntha that will attract them back. That means somebody from Vaikuntha cannot change rasa and go to a higher rasa.
So the understanding is that, and there are two aspects to it. That when you go to the spiritual world, you are in your eternal rasa at that time. Whatever it is, that's fully satisfying to you. So even though we say that Shanta is inferior to this and that, but the Jiva who is in Shanta rasa, he is getting complete bliss out of it. He's fully satisfied with it. It's not that he sat in an exam, he got less marks, so he said, okay, you go to Shantarasa. Somebody got more marks and he went to there. For him, Shantarasa is 100%. He scored 100% in the exam, he got Shantarasa there. So if he is fully satisfied, there really is no reason for him to try and say that, okay, I'm in this program now, I need to go to a better program. I need to, I need to become Krishna's father now because he has better gulab jamuns to eat. So there's no that sense of competitiveness or envy over there. Now, having said that, we also see these descriptions of where Golok is protected by the 10 tridents, and the jewels are there to protect from from the residents of Vaikuntha. So my understanding of this is that the devotees are advanced, they're fully satisfied in their rasas. They also have complete free will. So they can also exercise it in whatever way they want. They're not exercising it out of envy or anger or lust, but they're exercising it in a way that suits a particular mode. They see, can I serve Krishna better? And if they want, and so this is, I'm speaking based on a discussion that we had with this senior devotee in ISKCON. If they want, they can change their rasas, but they're generally fully satisfied with the rasas. All this protection that we see in the Vaikuntha also, will see that Lord Vishnu is guarded on all sides. This is all really a manifestation of a particular desire to serve Krishna. Now, everything in the spiritual world is personified. So even the tridents, the jewels, they're all personified. There's a personality over there. That's their mood. They want to serve Krishna over there. Right? Jai Vijay want to serve Krishna or Lord Vishnu in that particular mood. So they take that service. Otherwise, how can anybody reach Vaikuntha if the person is saying that now I will steal from Lord Vishnu, or while he's sleeping I'll attack him? Right? That's why you need guards. That's why the king needs guards from enemies. There are no enemies over there, but there are jivas who want to serve Krishna in a particular mood. So they take those services and they say that I am a trident. I'm protecting from those with material desires, or I am a jewel. I'm there to distract those who are coming with mood of opulence to Golok. Now, whether factually there are a lot of people coming or whether there is people with material desires coming, very, very, it's not spoken of. We have never seen any pastime. We have never seen any commentary on that. So at least the understanding is not that it is happening. The entry of desire of Lakshmi Devi to enter into rasa, the pastime has a slightly different connotation. If you go deeper in the pastime, it's really for Lakshmi Devi to glorify the gopis. But it's a little different thing. But everybody is fully satisfied there and serving in their own way. So that's how I understand this, Sarang Prabhu.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. And then I think in the same context we saw in Chaitanya Lila that Murari and even Anupam, they had different, they worship Ram more than Krishna, and then they were put in the test. And then even though Chaitanya said it's okay, you can keep your faith and your bhakti for Ram. There's no need to switch.
Right. And Mahaprabhu was happy with them. He didn't say that, you're not worshipping Krishna, you're worshipping Ram, so don't come to my association again. He was glorifying them. So they are fully satisfied and Krishna is fully satisfied with their mood. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Moving on, I wanted to finish this. Let's see if we can. So in the Lagu Bhagavatamrita, so Vaikuntha, and we have seen the description of Vaikuntha in the Bhagavatam, in the 3rd canto. We see Lord Brahma, when he's given darshan by Krishna or Lord Vishnu, he describes Vaikuntha. So the people over there, they are fully absorbed in spiritual bliss. Then in Vaikuntha description, you will see that there is a lot of opulence, beautiful palaces, enclosed with jewel walls, beautiful with great gates, vimans and palaces. In Golok, Krishna is running bare feet. There are cows and there are kunjas. But here there is a lot of opulence, and surrounded by and so the reason I'm going a little faster because we will actually see this in the depiction later on. So this is a depiction of the Vaikuntha Dham. So right at the center, which is known as Yogapeeth, there is Lord Narayan with Mahalakshmi sitting there. And then he's surrounded by Anantashesh and Garud. Normally Garud and snakes are enemies. But here they are both together serving, Anantashesh and Garud. So here is Anantashesh and here is Garud. Together they are serving the Lord. Then Vishwaksena, he is a close associate of Lord Vishnu. And he is, along with the other eternally liberated associates, serving Lord Vishnu. And Lakshmi Devi is also known as Rama Devi. Now we see Bhu and Leela on the side. So we have Leela and Bhu this side. And we have over here the energies of Krishna, headed by Vimala. So these are all the energies of Krishna. So the Vaikuntha is also depicted by a lotus flower. It also has, you can see, it also has a similar yantra in the middle. So these are the energies of Krishna, also the consorts, the potencies of Krishna. Okay, so we'll go over so this essentially has 7 around the central wall. There are 7 layers representing 7 different seven different personalities existing. So right at the center is Yogapeeth, where we see Mahalakshmi with Narayan. So this we saw. Then outside this is the Chaturvyu. Now this is the second Chaturvyu, because the first Chaturvyu is in Golok. So remember, they are in the quadrangle place residing in Mathura and Dwarka. But now they have expanded into the second Chaturvyu, and they are right over here. And here is their respective wives. Now, the outside layers of after that is the 24 expansions. So when we're looking at the expansion, we have said that each Chaturvyuha, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Anirudh, they expand into 5 more. So 3 for time and 2 for directions. So that is 20. And the personalities of the inner Chaturvyuha also expand. So we have 24 forms of Lord Vishnu that are residing in the second whorl of petals. Then outside that, in the third whorl is the 10 avatars. So we have the 10 incarnations that are residing outside there. Still outside there are the spiritual devas. So we have Durga Devi over here. But these are the original personalities. The material Durga Devi is an expansion of the spiritual Durga Devi. Then we have the Chatur Vedas, the 4 Vedas here. Then we have the paraphernalia of Krishna, the Shankh, Chakra, Gada, the bow, the various paraphernalia. And again, all this is personified. And then we have the devotees of the Lord that are outside. So in this way, there are outside the central whorl, there are 7 whorls of petals, which manifests Vaikuntha Dham. So this is the description. So we see Vasudeva is along with Lakshmi Devi, Sankarshan is with Saraswati, Pradyumna is with Rati, and Aniruddha is with Kanti. This is the Lakshmi Devis that are with them. And then these are the second is the 24 Vishnu expansions. Then there is the third, which is the 10 Avatar. The fourth is the Devas like Satya, Achyuta, Ananta, Durga, Vishwaksena, Gajana, Sakhandi. And the fifth part is the 4 Vedas, the Rig, Ved, Savitri, Garud, piety, sacrifice, and are manifest here. Then the sixth is the paraphernalia of the Lord, the coin, chakra, club, the sword, the saranga blow. They are all over there. They are all manifested by 4-armed forms of the Lord and are distinguished by marks on their helmets. And the seventh is devotees headed by Indra. Indra is also a demigod, but for whatever reason, he has a separate position. So it says the Indra here is not the same as the Indra in the material world. And the scriptures explain that in the spiritual world, the Sadhyas, Maruts, and the Vishwadevas are all eternal. Other Sadhyas, Maruts, and Vishwadevas who are rulers of these 3 heavenly realms of the material world are not eternal. So that's the difference between the two. Similarly, we can see this similar yantra representing Vaikuntha. The mantra that it represents is different. It represents the Brahma Gayatri mantra, the Om Bhur Bhavasva Tat Savitur Varenyam. And that is the mantra that is recited to meditate on Lord Vishnu and Lakshmi Devi. So this is a description of Vaikuntha, which actually applies to everything above Vaikuntha. So there is a complete absence of the qualitative modes. Everything is eternal, blissful, and cognizant. So this is applicable to Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, and Golok. Everything is described here. There is no creation or destruction. There is no change because time has no influence. Influence of Maya is absent. Residents are eternally cognizant of the relationship with God, with Krishna, and their constitutional position. So going back to the point that Shang Prabhu was making, that do they want to change their constitutional position? They don't, because they are eternally cognizant of that and they're fully satisfied with it also. They have spiritual bodies. This is specifically in Vaikuntha, brilliantly black in complexion, 4-armed, lotus-eyed. So they are replicas of Lord Narayan. And the full opulence of the internal potency always represented in Vaikuntha. Now coming further down from Vaikuntha. So we went to Golok, from Golok we went to Ayodhya, from Ayodhya we went to Vaikuntha. Now coming further down from Vaikuntha is the Brahmajyoti or the Brahman. So in 540, Brahma says that I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, whose effulgence is the source of the non-differentiated Brahman, between the Upanishads, mentioned in the Upanishads, being differentiated from the infinity of glories of the mundane universe, appears as indivisible, infinite, limitless. So the point that is made is that the Brahman is the effulgence of the Lord. It is fully spiritual. It has nothing to do with anything material. And it is the effulgence coming from the glow of body of Lord Vishnu. Here there is no material body. But there is no interaction between the jivas who have the conception of Brahmasmi. In the Brahman, there is the impersonalists or the demons who are killed by the Lord. They cannot enter Vaikuntha since it is protected by tridents. So we saw that under Vaikuntha there are tridents and they are preventing these impersonalists from entering into Vaikuntha. However, now this is a place where there is possibility in change of possession, because this is not the eternal constitutional position of the jiva. If the Brahmavadis appreciate the varieties of the Lord, they enter into Vaikuntha in Shantaras. So they become the dust and the flowers and the creepers in Vaikuntha. Now, the point that was made in the previous slide was both those who are meditating on the impersonal aspect of the Lord and those who are devotees, who are enemies of the Lord, they enter into Brahman. But Rupa Goswami wants to clarify that in the scriptures it is said that the Lord's enemies and the devotees attain the same destination. So it is not that they achieve the same destination per se, but because the Brahman is non-different from Krishna, the devotees go to Krishna and the demons who are killed by Krishna go to Brahman. Just like the sun and the sunshine are non-different, but they are different also. So in that way, you won't find any demons killed by Krishna in Krishna Loka. They will be in the Brahman. Now, not all demons that are killed by Krishna attain Brahman. Only those who are somehow able to connect to Krishna. And the difference is given between Ravan and Shishupal. That when Ravan was killed by Lord Ram, he still took birth again. He did not go back to Brahmajyoti. Right? Same thing with Hiranyakashipu. When he was killed, he became Ravan. When Ravan was killed, he became Shishupal. But when Shishupal was killed, then everybody saw that he entered back into Krishna's lotus feet. The difference is that neither Ravan nor Hiranyakashipu, they accepted Krishna as the personality of Godhead. Hiranyakashipu thought that Narsingadev is a magnificent creature. Ravan thought that Lord Ram is just a prince. But Shishupal was different. He knew about Krishna's divinity, but he was envious of Krishna. And at the time of being killed, he lost that enviousness. So he was able to enter into Brahman. Now, of course, he did not develop loving devotions. So he did not go beyond that. But he was killed by Krishna, but with the understanding of Krishna's position. For devotees, Brahman is worse than hell, because in hell there is still opportunity for service. And there is opportunity to associate with Yama, who is a Mahajan and a great devotee of the Lord. In Brahman, there is only Brahmavadis and the demons. Brahman is also referred as Brahmajyoti. Contextually, we will see Brahman. So Brahman literally means spiritual. So Brahman is sometimes referred to as the soul or spirit. And that's why there is this confusion by the Mayavadis, that when Brahman is being referred, it refers to Krishna, sometimes it refers to the soul, sometimes it refers to Brahmajyoti. So without understanding the context, they collapse everything into one. Further coming down from Brahmajyoti, we have the abode of Lord Shiva. And here we see that we are now entering into the material world. So even though generally it is shown that the material world is below Vaikuntha, but actually this is Sadashiv Lok. It's in the northeast corner of Vaikuntha. Now it's difficult to make a picture where we show that the dham is over here. That's why it is shown vertically downwards. But this is Ishan. Ishan is non-different from Sadashiv. Ishan is essentially Lord Vishnu. He lives over here. Part of his dham is in the material world, which is the beginning of the material world. So above Devi Dham is Shiv Dham, one portion of which is called Mahakal Dham, and it is enveloped in darkness. Darkness means now the material world has started, but Sadashiv Lok is not. It is full of great light because it is a part of Vaikuntha Lok. So, and that's why Lord Shiva has a kind of a unique position. So his abode is divided into spiritual and material world. Upper part is Sadashiv Lok in the northeast corner of Vaikuntha and presided by Sadashiv, who is Lord Vishnu. And he's also known as Ishan. This is given by Jiva Goswami in Krishna Sandarbha. And who goes over there? So this is those who worship Lord Shiva, understanding him to be non-different from Krishna. Not the Shaivites who are Karmis or Jnanis, who worship Lord Shiva as an independent supreme controller. This is Sanatana Goswami in Brihad Bhagavatamrita. Now Sadashiv expands into Shambhu. Even though he is originally Vishnu Tattva as Sadashiv, because he comes in direct contact with Maya Devi, he ceases to be Vishnu Tattva as Shambhu and becomes Shiva Tattva. So just like the lokas, there is the spiritual part of it, and there is the lower part, which is the Mahakal Dham. Sadashiv presides on the spiritual part, and his expansion Shambhu presides on Shiva Loka, which is the material part. And the reason that he is material is because he comes in direct contact with Mayadevi. Both Sadashiv and Mahavishnu are simultaneously created by Mahasankarsha. The lower part of Sadashiv Lok is presided by Shambhu and is there in Pradhan. We'll do Pradhan next discussion. It is also called Mahakal Loka because it is manifest in darkness, since time is manifest over there. Going further down from Shiva Lok is the causal ocean. Causal ocean we will discuss next time when we speak about Mahavishnu. And further down there is Devi Dham, which is going to be our main topic of discussion, which is the creation of the material world. So I'm kind of out of time, but this is also the last slide that I was hoping to speak to you about. And we can have any discussion or comments now. We may go a little bit over time, but that's okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Very, very beautiful class, Prabhuji. Some of the points that you mentioned really clarified my partial understanding. And I am sure that nowhere else we can get what we are getting here. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. And I have one question, Prabhuji. In the Goloka depiction, when it is given, Mahaprabhu is shown at the center of the world, like within the world, and also in the outer petals. All pastimes of Mahaprabhu is depicted. So is Mahaprabhu staying in multiple places within Golok? If you can elaborate.
Those are not the pastimes. Those are the outer petals are the Shantaras, which depict also the paraphernalia. So Krishna's flute, it becomes it becomes the kartals. Lord Balram's plow, it becomes the mridanga over there. So it just depicting that the paraphernalia covers both the paraphernalia of Lord Krishna and that of Mahaprabhu.
Oh, it's not Mahaprabhu is in the center only, center of the world.
Mhm.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. May I ask a question?
Sure.
I have a question. The sages and Mahajans who lived in Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, did they have exactly the same understanding of the construction of spiritual world as we do now, or was it different? It's just, I see that there is a place called Navadvipa, and I don't know, did those sages who lived in Satya Yuga, did they even have such an understanding that there is a place called Navadvipa in spiritual world?
So Navadvipa is eternal. It's even though Mahaprabhu manifested it 500 years ago, but Navadvip is eternal. Mahaprabhu is eternal. There are pastimes in Satyuga of Lord Shiva attending Kirtan along with Mahaprabhu. The pastimes of Lakshmi Devi in the spiritual world serving Mahaprabhu. So they manifest in the material world at different points of time, but they're all eternal in the spiritual world. And they have been described in the various parts of the scriptures. They're not very commonly available. They're more in the more hidden parts of the scriptures, but they are there. And those who had understanding always had that understanding.
So the sages of the past, they always had an understanding about this, the lotus that you showed us. They always understood the spiritual world to be this way.
I mean, it's more like the other way around. The reason we have that understanding is because they have given us that understanding. Like because Lord Brahma has given us that understanding. From Brahma, the understanding went to the 4 Kumars and their descendants. That's how we are getting that understanding.
But Lord Brahma, when he basically saw Lord Krishna, he didn't recognize him. So if he, had all of that understanding about this lotus and Srimati Radharani and Lord Krishna being in the center, how come he could not understand, recognize Krishna when he stole his friends?
So the Brahma Vimohan Leela and the Leela of Indra getting bewildered, we understand them from 2 perspectives. One perspective we understand is they are jivas. So being jiva means that you're always kshara. You can always be overcome. Unless you are in the shelter of Krishna, you can be overcome. So take our example, right? Guru Maharaj comes and says, chant Hare Krishna. We say, yes, chant Hare Krishna. Guru Maharaj goes away and we are chanting something else. So we had that understanding at that point of time because we were empowered by the presence of him. And then because we are conditioned, because of our own frailties, the understanding gets covered. That's one way to understand it. The other way is that they were all also serving Krishna in his pastime. That if Krishna is able to bewilder Brahma, then we can understand that Krishna's position is far superior to Brahma. If Krishna is able to have Indra come in front of him and beg for forgiveness, then those who are worshippers of demigods, they can understand by seeing that pastime that who is Indra and who is Krishna. Indra is happy to do that service, and Krishna is coming for that purpose of establishing the real purpose of Dharma. So those pastimes are also being done for the benefit of those who will read it and get some tattva out of it, get some understanding out of it.
Thank you, Prabhu. And I have one more question, which is more also the similar question that Spranga Prabhu asked. So I want to understand if the soul lives in Gokula in the form of a tree and serves Krishna as a tree, is there a way for this tree to evolve one day into a gopi or gopa, or once you're a tree in spiritual world, you'll always be a tree, and you're completely satisfied with it.
That's my understanding. That yes, if the tree wants, so there is free will there, but there is also full satisfaction. That the reason. So look at what our journey would be, right? That when we perfect our spiritual life, which means that we are fully situated in our eternal relationship and service to Krishna, we go back to the spiritual world. So that is what is satisfying us completely. That if there is a tree or if there is a piece of grass that is satisfying by cushioning Krishna's feet, that's what makes it happy. But the other point also is there. Prabhupada would say that he knew, but he would not. He would say that a lot of the things you will know when you go to yourselves there. So, a lot of these discussions, to some extent, they're academic. That can the tree become a deer, or can the deer become a bear? Philosophically, we know that the jivas are fully satisfied, but are there exceptions? Is there opportunity to serve Krishna even more? At one point, it is said that the jivas continuously desire to serve Krishna more and more. Does that translate into the escalation of rasas or intensification of the present rasas? So these are questions that even the acharyas, they don't really try to answer them. They say that all these will be revealed in due course of time. It means that when we are qualified, Krishna will reveal those answers to us.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the wonderful lecture.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for the wonderful class, Prabhuji. I'm still, for my standard, it's very high. I'm trying to understand. Maybe I need to go through the videos 2-3 times, Prabhuji. But very, very wonderful for for people like us to give this much standard of this. It is very nice of you, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. I have a quick question, Prabhuji. They say that life after life, even we don't need mukti, but a devotional service to the Lord is what is needed. So even when we have attained that level of devotion, even if we are in the material world, we are considered to be in Goloka, right, Prabhuji?
That's what Prabhupada would say. You're right.
Yeah, that's what I want to ask. And another one question, Prabhuji. See, Lord Shiva is because it's divided into two. One is Sadashiva and then other is Shambhu. But Sadashiva is not contacted with material world, but Shambhu is in direct contact with Maya Devi. That's why there's a separation. But how do we consider? So Shambhu is not very spiritual, Prabhuji?
Not spiritual meaning we are all spiritual, right? Even you and I are spiritual. So Shambhu is definitely spiritual, but he is not spiritually liberated. He's not Vishnu Tattva. Like Sadashiv is Vishnu Tattva. So we understand in terms of Tattva, there is Jiva Tattva, there is Vishnu Tattva, and there is Shiva Tattva. So Vishnu Tattva is everybody who is directly connected with Krishna. And Sadashiv is that. He's directly connected to Krishna. He lives in Vaikuntha. His consort is an expansion of Lakshmi Devi. Shambhu, he is an expansion of him. And because he is in contact with Maya, his consort is Maya Devi. So he is, of course, fully spiritual, but he is materially conditioned also. And he is not Vishnu Tattva. That's the most important distinction. He is not Jiva Tattva because he is expanding from Vishnu Tattva, but because of his conditioning with Maya Devi, he is Shiva Tattva. So Shiva Tattva has this unique place of being somewhere in between Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. Higher than the Jiva Tattva, but below the Vishnu Tattva.
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. So we can stop here, and Monday we will start with the creation, primary and secondary creation. So we have an understanding of the expansions of Krishna. We have the understanding of the spiritual world, how it leads down from Golok to Vaikuntha, from Vaikuntha to Shivalok, crossing over Brahmajyoti, crossing over Viraj. Now we will be entering into Devi Dham. And this we will, of course, speak about in more details, the whole process of the primary and secondary creation. So I look forward to seeing all of you next Monday. Thank you very much. Vanchkalpatarubhayaschit kripa sindhu vyaivacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Prabhupada Ki Jai Gaur Premanand.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you so